ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਨੇ ਵੈਰੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਊਡ ਵੈਰੀ ਹੈਪੀ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਇਨਵਾਈਟਿੰਗ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਪ੍ਰਵੀਰ ਹੰਡਨ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਸਰੀ ਨਿਊਟਨ ਤੋਂ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰਵੀਰ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ ਫॉर ਜੁਆਇਨਿੰਗ ਆਈ ਨੋ ਯੂ ਰਨਿੰਗ ਐਜ਼ ਐਨ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਡਿਸਾਈਡ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਕੋਲੈਬੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਰੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਅਪਰੋਚ ਕਰੋ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਬ੍ਰਾਈਟ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਟ woman why did you not approach other parties?
So the way that works, so for example in Surrey Newton we have had same representation for so long, so I felt like right now it is time that younger generations move forward. And in terms of party endorsement processes it varies, so it really depends, and I feel like at that time it made sense to run as an independent just because I felt like there's so many issues going on within my riding that aren't being addressed, and as an independent your sole responsibility and focus is working on your community, raising those issues in Ottawa, but at the same time you have the same access as any other member of parliaments that do get endorsed by a party. So it's almost a benefit having an independent, because right now the issues have gotten so worse in Surrey Newton. We need someone at the federal level to be involved and who actually is super keen and super active within the community and keeping up with the issues of its constituents.
So still another question on the same point. So I understand that when you have to go in and fill in these papers as an independent that ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ 100 ਦੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ signatures ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ how hard was it to get those 100 signatures?
Yeah, so again it's the door-to-door conversations you have, it's about going out in the community, so 100 was what you needed. I did actually surpass that to 450 because those conversations got somewhere, because people were ready for new representation. People want someone moving forward now who has the education, who has the knowledge, and I have experience working in Ottawa as well. So with all of those, I am equipped to be running as a candidate on a federal level, and having the responses from the community was very genuine, very excited, and very happy to have someone moving forward who is super excited about moving the community forward and holding themselves accountable that they will bring the change that everybody really wants.
So from your writing, you know, Mr. Sukhtalwal has been the MP for quite some time, and he is known. You know, many people would say that his office is always open. Anybody could go in and get help, and he's helped tons of people. And at the same time, what you're saying is that you are young, and then you are going to bring in the change. So what is it that you are hearing at the doorsteps, which is different? Because obviously they have liked him, that is why they voted him in repeatedly for more than one time. So what is it that they're wanting now which they think that wasn't addressed by Mr. Sukhtalwal from the last member of parliament?
Yeah, so we have to look at domestic violence rates, the family violence rates that disproportionately do affect women. So 89% of victims within Surrey who do face domestic violence are females, and that's a staggering number. And then if we look at the homicide rates due to domestic violence on females, it is increasing, and it is a concern just because media doesn't highlight all of the cases that do happen. It is very selective on what is raised, and having the background of working within domestic violence organizations, they've been saying for about 15 years now, we need more federal funding to have the equipped organizations in order to help these victims. So that's one point. And then we look into gang and crime, drug violence going on within our riding. We lost a victim who was just as young as 14 years old. So we can say that, yeah, we're working on these issues, but the numbers say otherwise, and the numbers say that there could be more done, but there isn't, because this isn't being raised enough in Ottawa. Because the thing is, with federal levels, you have the funding accesses, and the funding is like a trickle-down system to provincial and municipal. So if we don't have representation kind of focusing on, example, the healthcare as well, we were supposed to have a new hospital, and that hasn't come yet.
But that is more of a provincial issue that they would say, right?
So I believe that everything is a three-level, it works together. Federally, provincially, municipally, I wholeheartedly believe that there's a place. So if you call yourself a community representative, which a member of parliament is, you have the ability, you have the right to actually work with the provincial and municipal government, because at the end of the day the federal funding will go down to municipal or to provincial, and that's where they work together.
So you see the link in there, and you see how the collaboration needs to be there. And are you saying the collaboration is not there right now? And are you also saying the woman perspective is missing from your writing when you spoke about the domestic violence and other issues that you mentioned? Do you think that you are going to be representing the underrepresented woman?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I don't agree with is when I hear things like like, this is just a federal issue, or this is only a provincial issue, so I can't directly help. If it is even a single phone call that you can make, if it is a letter of support that you can provide, if it is even a 30-second phone call, and that's all you have, then you give that your all. Because I always believe that you have the ability, you have the opportunity to work with all three levels. And if the funding comes from federal, unless it's raised in federal, how will it go down to provincial? Because that's what we're missing right now, the funding as well to increase our healthcare system. And yeah, seconding what you were saying about like women's, like we are disproportionately represented within politics. And I think in society as a whole, we're tokenized. So we can say like in all parts of society will be placed, even this applies to any marginalized groups as well, like marginalized communities, like BIPOC.
Can you elaborate more about, tokenized to see, yes, I mean, give me some examples where you think, well, the hair woman was tokenized, or maybe racialized community was tokenized, where you thought that, hey, there is a seat that is filled by a woman or by a person of color, and yet they're not delivering or serving the group that they're particularly representing.
Yeah, I think like tokenism, it's kind of like a societal issue. So it can apply in any kind of context. I mean, it can all the way go down to just like a round table you're having, or it can be within workplace facilities in terms of what roles women are given, and in terms of...
But more about in politics, like, just saying is when you were saying is why you were running, and you want to run as a strong woman, and you want to take up some of the, not only the issues for the woman, but because every issue is a woman issue, if there's a childcare, that's a woman issue. If there's a housing issue, that's a woman issue. But are you saying that I'm going to look at all these policies and all these issues through the eyes of the woman, which possibly might be missing on the decision-making table currently in our parliament? Yeah,
and it is, because if we look at the numbers of percentages of how many member of parliaments are actually female, it is 30% in comparison to the male-dominated 70%. And I feel like seconding back on like domestic violence, it's not talked about in our riding, it's increasing, it is a federal issue, and there's no intervention, and it disproportionately affects women. And then we talk about like family violence, and then also talking to, like if I go out, for example, I'm in the community, I'm door knocking, I'm talking to women, whether it's mothers, whether it's young teenagers, there is a continuous, like a same kind of response in terms of public safety. How we feel, like how we can't even go for a walk for 5 minutes without feeling unsafe, and we feel scared.
And we're in Canada.
Exactly. So I feel like there's so many issues, and we're not talking about it because there's a lack of representation in the field.
You're talking, the word that you're repeating regularly is talking. You're saying that that more of the issues needs to be talked about, more of the issue needs to be brought out to the public.
Yeah, not only talked about, like it starts with talking just because it is.
Raising awareness.
Exactly. So I believe you raise the issue, but then you have to follow up in terms of intervention and prevention plans as well, because that's what's been happening though. If people will say, well, I empower women, but it's like, it's words that are just being said, but there's no actually filler in it. There's no action.
So the strong women, as they say, the strong women haven't been supported, or the community dialogue, or the dialogue with the strong women, generally speaking, it's very hard for the people to figure out how to communicate with a strong woman. They can have a conversation with a woman, but when it comes to a strong woman, that they're having a bit of an issue right there. So tell me, like, obviously I take you as you have done 2 degrees, you have worked at the community, and you went out in Ottawa as well on your own, and you have lived there 1 year, so you're not so much intimidated with the political process and so forth. But do you think that when we talk about, hey, youth representation, is just the age enough to be youth, to be representing the youth, or do you need to have all these credentials that you talked about? Like, would you say that another person is tokenized youth? I have taken another woman who's 25, 30-year-old, and I put it in there, but they don't have the same credentials as you are. What would you have to say for some of the parties who might be running such candidates?
Yeah, so I think in terms of every single candidate's different, their history's different, their education, knowledge. It just comes down to, do you know what is happening in your community? Is your community feeling heard? Are you listening to your community and providing those very simple traits that no longer exist in politics? I feel like it's been masked with so much power, wealth, and around a lot of money. And politics is supposed to be about being a community representative who just goes down to listening and raising those issues in Ottawa and providing as much help as they could, whether that's funding, whether that's providing support to various organizations and resources. So I feel like that's like the heart of what politics really is.
So few of the very strong women have left the parliament, and they have chosen not to run again, okay? And they were running from different parties. There isn't one party that's guilty of it. There are Canadian political strong parties where from whom the women have decided not to run, and strong women have not decided to run. And when you think of that, and when you think that the people who are within the party, they're having such hard time, and they're not just, youth, they are in their experienced age of life. Aren't you worried or thoughtful as to just saying, hey, this is a much more complex, much more demanding profession that you're going to be in, or public service that you're going to be in? Are you feeling safe enough? Are you feeling ready enough?
Yeah, I'm feeling completely safe and ready. And a lot of my platform focuses on the social issues around mental health, healthcare, gang and crime, domestic violence, family violence. But then I do have a platform around climate change, green, space conversation, and the other thing is knowing numbers. So with my business background, I've also worked within management information system case competitions, worked with tech companies in Vancouver. So that business side of things, I have that as well. I feel like I am completely equitable to run. All my education, all my knowledge, and all my experience has been specifically built around to be as versatile as possible, because I always want to be flexible and open to the whole entire community, whether you're a small business, whether you're a stay-at-home mother, whether you're a daycare owner. There's just so many ranges of possibilities of different stories and people with different experiences, and it's about being open and understanding all of those. And I feel again, from Ottawa, having my business background as well as a lot of grassroots political movement I've been trying to make in my community when it goes down to working with domestic violence shelters, that's where it comes from, and I do believe I'm ready.
So stereotyping, just, simple thing is that, first of all, woman is not taken seriously in politics, number one. Number two is young person is not taken as seriously. You are both. You are young and you're a woman.
Yeah.
So at the same time, do you have to work extra hard when you're going and knocking onto the doors? Are people taking you seriously? Are people providing the funding for you to run a decent campaign? Are they saying, yes, we would support you and we would run, we would want to volunteer with you compared to your competitors who might have many years of experience?
Yeah, I don't believe that we need hundreds and thousands of dollars to run a campaign. It can be done at a fraction of cost of that. And that goes to show in my campaign as well, because it comes down to the door knocking. And besides door knocking, it's about those one-on-one conversations that you don't have to pay for, but mean a lot more because you're actually getting
time
a lot.
Is definitely
exactly,
a value. Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like the thing is with politics, there's a lot of stigma around for women entering it as well.
Yeah.
Before you even enter, there's a lot of people putting you down and saying, wait your turn or wait another 4 years. Well, I'm not going to wait another 4 years when there's so many issues happening in my community nobody is talking about that are getting worse. And I feel like this goes back to why so many, thousands, on average 20,000 people don't vote in my riding for that reason, because they're not feeling heard, they're very disengaged, just because politics within certain communities has become very specific that only benefits and caters to a specific group, and it needs to be about expanding out and benefiting all and listening to all from different backgrounds, different demographics with different experiences.
I'm definitely impressed from the depth from where you're speaking, and also the passion that you bring. And I think I individually, from both of our Global Village Charitable Foundation as well as Equal Voice, we are supporting every woman candidate. And right now I congratulate you for stepping up, and also not just stepping up for the sake of stepping up, as we talked about, as being tokenized, but the fact that you're ready, you feel you're ready, and you have done a lot of work for that. So thank you very much,
so much for
and
having me.
we wish you luck. And in conclusion marks, anything you want to say, especially even if you want to speak in Punjabi, if you can, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ young ਔਰਤਾਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨੇ, or even my age or elderly, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਵੋਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ, ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਪਰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੋਵੇ, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so I just want to say one thing. ਹੁਣ voting ਆ ਗਿਆ, and please ਸੋਚ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ ਉਹ vote ਪਾਇਓ, because right now we can bring change. And ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ballot box ਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆ, I know a lot of people are telling me ਉਹ pressure feel ਕਰਦੇ ਆ because somebody is telling them who to vote for. When you are voting behind the ballot box, it is confidential. ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ who you are voting for. You can say you voted for whoever if you are feeling that pressure, but as women we have to come together. ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ together ਹੋ ਕੇ we can bring the change we know we need, because I know that there are victims out there, there are women out there, there are marginalized communities out there who need a voice that represents them in Ottawa, and I will be that voice for everyone. Thank you.
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ ਪ੍ਰਵੀਰ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਹਰ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦਾ ਅਲੱਗ-ਅਲੱਗ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਆਬਵੀਅਸਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਮੁਬਾਰਕ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਿਸਨਰਸ ਨੇ, ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਨੇ, ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਖਾਸ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਸ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਹਿਸਾਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੋਚ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ, ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਅੱਗੇ ਲਈ ਕੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕਲਾਈਮੇਟ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋਵੇ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਵੂਮਨ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਵੇ, ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਬੈਸਟ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰਵੀਰ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬੈਸਟ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਔਰਤ ਦੀ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੀ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ। ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਚਾਈਲਡ ਕੇਅਰ ਹੈ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਜ਼ ਬਣ ਰਹੀਆਂ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਰੱਗ ਐਂਡ ਗੈਂਗ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਔਰਤ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਘਰੇ ਬੈਠੀ ਉਹ ਸਫਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਭੈਣ ਹੈ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਮਾਂ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਟੀਚਰਸ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਹਰ ਕਪੈਸਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਔਰਤ ਬੈਠੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ 'ਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਸਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਪੈਕਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਸੋ ਐਂਡ ਔਨ ਬਿਹਾਫ ਆਫ ਆਵਰ ਗਲੋਬਲ ਵਿਲੇਜ ਚੈਰੀਟੇਬਲ ਫਾਊਂਡੇਸ਼ਨ, ਇਕੁਅਲ BC ਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਮੌਕਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਤਿੰਨਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਵੂਮਨ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਗ੍ਰੈਚੁਲੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੁਬਾਰਕਬਾਦ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਸਟੈਪ ਲਿਆ। ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਵਕਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਵੀਰ ਬੱਚੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਾਇਲੌਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਨਵੋਲਵ ਕਰੀਏ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਮਝ ਨੂੰ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰੀਏ, ਜਸਟ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਦੇਰ ਵੂਮਨ, ਜਸਟ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਦੇਰ ਯੰਗ ਔਰ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸਡ, not only that but also the credibility that they bring to the position, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਇੱਕ ਖਿੱਤੇ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਜੈਂਡਰ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਦੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਰਾਈਡਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ, ਆਪਣੀ ਇਲੈਕਟੋਰਲ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਕਰਨਾ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਦੇਖਣ ਦਾ, ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਨ ਦਾ, ਜੁੜੇ ਰਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਧੰਨਵਾਦ।
ਸਾਡਾ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵੇਖਣ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਨ ਲਈ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰੋ ਚੈਨਲ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਤੇ ਨੋਟੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਬੈਲ ਆਈਕਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਬਟਨ ਤੇ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਕਰੋ।